Hi, I'm Colin. This is my garage. This is part 3 of my Parlor guitar build for the Great Guitar Build-On. In this video, I'll basically be getting the guitar to this stage here. Not quite this far. This will have to wait till video 4 to put in the kerfing here. But we'll get it almost here. In part 2, I built the neck of the guitar, and in part 1, I prepared the wood, and that's where I'll be taking off from with this video. In part 1, I jointed the top and the back of the guitar, and I cut the sides, but I didn't thickness them, and that's where we'll start with this video. So let's get started. Here I'm scraping glue residue so it doesn't plug my thickness sander. This is my homemade drum sander. It allows me to get the sides and the top and back down to an even final thickness. What I'm doing here is called candling. Before I get too far along in the build process, I just want to make sure there's no pitch pockets in this guitar top. Here I'm laminating the back of the guitar. After the glue was dry, I did a little bit of final thickness sanding on this, just to get it down to the final thickness. So here we are. Top, thickness down to about 3 millimeters. I'm going to take it a little bit thinner, but I'll do that after I put the rosette in. And there's the back, laminated. And then taken down to 3 millimeters. And the sides, 1.5 millimeters for the pine, and then 1.5 millimeters for the bricks, and then I'll laminate these after I bend them. After I had the sides bent, I left them clamped up in the guitar mold to sit overnight, just to help them retain their shape. I'm about to start laminating these sides, but before I started that, it occurred to me I needed to make a change to the inside mold. This will act as a clamp, clamping the sides between this and the outside mold. But there needs to be clearance here, so I cut these spaces so that the edges here will bend in just a little bit and allow for room for the sides to fit in between the two pieces. Okay, I think this is gonna work. Well, it's gonna be tricky to take apart though. We're gonna need a handle or a handhole or something here and here to get this out. And maybe another hole here to maybe put a clamp in there to loosen this inner mold. Okay, let's do that. That's better. Got a hole to grab to pull it out, and also a spot where I can put a clamp. Kind of pull this and this side in when I go to remove this. Okay. So this didn't quite turn out the way I wanted. There's spots where it's perfect, nice and tight, and then spots where it's not. You can see that gap there, right there. This one goes all the way through. This one is open on this side and then tight on the other side. So, I mean, I'm gonna salvage this. I think what I'll do is I'll inject some epoxy in the gaps here to make it a solid, single piece. It's definitely strong enough, but I don't like those gaps, so that's what I'm gonna do. And then on the second side, I'm gonna make some changes. This is just not working out as a plan. I'm gonna cut this all up. I'm gonna cut it into pieces and basically make separate clamping cauls out of it. And that way I can apply individual pressure at different parts of the curve and make sure that there are no gaps anywhere. So that's going to be the project. I took footage of all the modifications I did to this mold, but I actually ran into other bigger problems, so let's jump to that. Well, I think I have a bigger problem than I initially thought. You see that twist? I thought maybe I could just straighten it up like that. But when you do that, then it's not straight anymore. It doesn't sit in this mold properly. Look how raised that this edge is. And the other side is tight. So basically, if I were to straighten this out and cut it and make the guitar side out of it, well, you'd have one side of the guitar kind of sloped like that, instead of both the sides being nice and straight. I mean, I could set this in here flat and then make sure it's flat and then just cut, basically cut like this. Cut it off here where it's bent. But then I'll end up with a thin guitar that's only about 2.5, maybe 2 inches thick. And that's not thick enough. So I'm gonna have to redo these sides. So this is scrap. That's too bad. And the real shame is I've got these unlaminated sides over here, the other side of the guitar, and I can't do anything about it because I want the sides to be book matched. So I have to, so this no longer has a match. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. You've already seen me, cut down the lumber and thickness it and bend it. So I'm not going to do any of that on camera. So for you, it'll be a few minutes or not even, a couple seconds I'll see you in a couple seconds with brand new sides, bent, and we'll start the lamination process all over. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. A little bit better prepared this time. I've got some clamps here waiting, and I've changed that interior mold into several clamping calls. And I have my new sides. I'll just glue two at a time here, or one side at a time. So I'll put this aside for later. Nice and straight, no gaps. And it's nice and stiff. So this turned out. Let's do it again. I think you probably get the idea. Let's skip ahead to the next step in the process here. Here I'm trimming the excess off the sides of the guitar so that the two sides will fit in the guitar mold. This is the tail block that I'm sanding. And now for the neck block. The neck block will be a sort of Spanish foot design, as you'll see in a bit, and I'm box joining two pieces of poplar to make that shape. By Spanish foot, I mean that L-shaped extension to the neck block. That extension will glue to the back of the guitar and also one of the cross braces on the back, and will add strength to the neck joint. Okay. Well, it's starting to look like something now. In the next video, I'll install the kerfing, and I'll get to work on bracing the top and back. See you next time.